Hi, hello. I was
Hello.
just want to ask a question out of curiosity. Earlier, you mentioned about how our DNAs mutate throughout our lives, and it's not always a bad thing, but this is primarily how we age, right?
Yes.
Um,
So, mhm.
does environment is environment the only thing that affects our gene mutation throughout our lives,
No,
or
of
is it
course not.
something natural that happens?
Mhm.
So
So it's
can we, for example, if we try and live our healthiest life, can we prevent this DNA mutation to the maximum, or maybe prevent it at all from mutating?
yes,
Is
for
it
sure.
possible?
For sure, it is possible, and you are encouraged to reduce the rate of mutations. So how you do that? You usually keep your health that kind of allows you to live healthy. So eat healthy, then do the physical exercises, sleep well, because the bad sleeping habits, they lead to cancers, they lead to unwanted inflammation, and the very low repairment rates against those people who sleep well. So if you have, how say that? So there are people who can, not can, but they think that 6 hours of sleeping is enough. Of course, it's not enough. Uh, uh, well, for millions of years, primates were sleeping for 8 hours. And this means that 8 hours is the standard for healthy sleeping. So people who reduce this period of sleeping, they usually suffer a lot of problems. I guess about 2 years ago, there were huge study on vitamin D and how it affects sleeping, etc. And they found that with the low levels of vitamin D, bad sleeping, and low levels of vitamin B in body, people develop cancers. I guess it was 10 times faster. So our immune system is on the malfunctioning, etc., etc. So that's why they cannot fight the pathogens, etc. Also, our own cancerous cells. So it's only about sleeping, right? Next, you have the stress situations. So you try to reduce stress. Finally, you have to keep your mental health in a good condition too. So your memory, your emotions, etc., etc. And how you do that? Uh, Again, it's about reading, about trying to learn something new. So your brain is always in a constant uh,
State of
kind
thinking,
of not only
working.
state of thinking, but also a
Mm.
state of renewal. So you renew
Mm.
your own neurons, and they help to keep the whole body in the tonus. So everything that you do with your brain, so it's learning, reading, even finding new skills to kind of obtain. So if you never draw, it doesn't mean that you cannot draw, right? If you never sing, it doesn't mean that you cannot sing. So all of these new skills, they will kind of employ the parts of the brain that were not employed before. And because these parts started working, it might also participate in the regulation of your intestine or your colon, for example. So it's the digestive system. And finally, it will, because of this control, it will help you live healthier just because you started singing, for example. So everything is interconnected in our body, and your health is highly dependent on kind of full capacity of your body. If you don't use a huge part of it, it means that all other parts of the body will also suffer. Okay, so that's why we say that there is no health without good sleeping, because it's a huge part. There is no health without physical training, without mental training, etc., etc. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess for now, what you could do, you could go to the diagnostic centers, define your levels of vitamin D, maybe vitamin B, then regulate your sleeping habits. So many young people, they think that not sleeping till 5 a.m. is fine. No, it's not fine. You have the melatonin. Just now read about the melatonin and the sleeping habits, for example, and you will find a lot of interesting things that you could employ in your daily activities, etc.
Yeah, I agree with the vitamin D one. I always try and keep it at the normal level. Do you think that there are people? Do you think that we can now casually live up to 150 years? Do you think we evolved to that level of
I
healthcare?
think we could, because nowadays we are kind of drifting towards personalized medicine. And by drifting towards this personalized medicine, we start understanding the things that all approaches should be also personalized. Again, the vitamins levels. We don't say that, okay, so we have range between 80 to 120 micrograms of this vitamin in our blood. We start defining what is normal for this particular person. So let's say 97. So we have to keep it at 97 level. If it's lower, it's bad. If it's higher, it's also bad. So we kind of correct everything according to the particular person, okay? And in this case, of course, if we could regulate all this stress, all these sleeping habits, etc., we could make a person live like 150 years, and with the progress of science, it becomes more and more real. So I guess we are ready now, but the problem is the whole world kind of requires people to break these habits, the good habits. That's why we still like just imagine the world without stress, etc. So it's almost impossible right now. But on your level, if you could do that, just try to get to these good habits.
Okay, thank you. And
As far as
I will
I know,
stop.
that's nice.
I will stop now if
As far
someone
as I
has
know,
serious questions.
sorry.
I'm saying
Sorry?
that I will stop now if someone has serious questions.
So the good thing about these resources of our body, so just imagine the capacity of the brain. So I guess it's about 600 years. So if you could give it the good conditions, it could live for 600 years. For example, your heart can easily beat up to 300 years. So the real capacity of the organism is much more than 60 years, but we still have a lot of people dying at 60, and this is not good. So we have to kind of develop these good habits in children now, so that they can live long and good life. And also in those who are at 60 now, because they still can prolong their life just by reducing these bad habits of sleeping, of stress, physical activities, etc. It's really possible, but nobody like. First of all, it's nobody talks about that. Second, nobody tries to develop these good habits, right?